Sogamoso, recognized for its commercial potential and possibilities of mining exploitation, has a cultural heritage with an important pre-Hispanic legacy and historical contributions to the formation of the Republic of Colombia. Sogamoso has multiple monuments of heritage and is also home to the Andes. A fundamental factor for the birth of streams, ravines, and rivers. The area surrounding Sogamoso is perfect for ecological walks, hiking, and trekking. Sogamoso was the residence of the high priest of the Chibchas, Cacique de Sugamuxi or Iraca, Suamosh, to whom the inhabitants of Iza, Firavitoba, Gameza, Busbanza, Toca, Pesca, Tobazia, and others rendered obedience. It had a religious center located in the Iraca Valley, privileged by the physical and environmental conditions it offers. The top of its hierarchy materialized in a building around which a whole social and political system was organized, the Temple of the Sun, whose geographical relationship with other places of worship responds to a whole cosmological system as a means of interpreting its universe, an aspect that places the Muisca culture as an advanced civilization. When the Spaniards arrived, they had difficulty pronouncing their name. The conquerors decided to baptize the town, as was their custom with that of the cacique, calling it then Sogamoso or Sogamoso, the valley of the Iraca Chibchas, modifying the word Suamosh or Suamoz. This settlement was located apparently to the south of the current center and adjacent to the Fuente de Conchuca, in whose vicinity was the main building of the Muiscas, raised in consecration to the sun. The temple, built in Macana and Guayacan wood and adorned with gold sheets, could have been the deposit of the historical archives of that nation, which was even called by the chroniclers at the time as the Rome of the Chibchas. Since the 5th century AD, Sogamuxi or later Sogamoso was the capital of the Chibcha Empire and the most important religious center during pre-Hispanic times. In 1537, arrival of the Spanish under the command of Gonzalo Jimenez de Quesada, and following that the fire of the Temple of the Sun. In 1552, construction of the first Spanish settlement in what is today the Mochaca neighborhood. In 1810, on September 6th, the Republican village is declared. On July 10th of 1819, General Barrero surprises 34 soldiers of Bolivar's troops, observing his barracks in the place known as the Hacienda Ramada, which still exists today in Sogamoso, days before the Battle of the Vargas Swamp. Barrero cruelly murdered these soldiers, placing them back to back and piercing them with a spear. In 1875, foundations of the first Bank of Sogamoso and installation of the telegraph. In 1882, issuance of currency notes. 1909, opening of the Sogamoso-Bogota Highway. 1929, inauguration of the Sogamoso Theater. 1931, inauguration of the Northern Railway. 1946, construction of the Alberto Lleras Camargo Airport. 1954, the steelworks company Acerías Paz del Rio enters into operation. The museum located east of the city of Sogamoso was founded by the illustrious Eliezer Silva Celis in 1940s, whose objective is to investigate, disseminate, and legitimize the cultural and historical past of the Muisca people. The museum consists of the museum sections and the Archaeological Park. In the museographic area, ethnographic and ethno-historical studies and comparisons of the Cundiboyacense highlands and the Muisca occupation are exposed. Finding collections of objects such as human bones, stones, ceramics, textiles, seashell instruments, mineral coal, animal bone, and wood. In the Archaeological Park, a general vision of the mode of habitation, agriculture, and customs of the Muisca people is shown. Today is made up of the Temple of the Sun and 7 huts. An enclosed museum with a permanent exhibition and a collection of numerous archaeological objects. Sacred enclosure to worship the sun and other spirits of nature, the highest spiritual and religious sanctuary of the Muiscas. Its sumptuousness caused admiration to the Spanish. The name of the temple is given as a result of the fire in 1537 when 2 soldiers from Jimenez de Quesada entered to steal the offerings that the natives kept there, neglecting 2 burning torches leaning against one of the walls. Located at the foot of a mountain considered sacred to the Muiscas, since the cacique took the ritual bath before the sun god appeared from the east and his entire body was purified with its rays. The hill where the source is located and the native forest that surrounds it were also very sacred sites for the Muiscas of Boyaca. Today marked by the urban nomenclature 9th Street, this road was built on the same indigenous road trodden by Gonzalo Jimenez de Quesada's Spanish soldiers before setting fire to the Temple of the Sun. It also gave way to the royalist armies of Colonel José María Barrero and on 2 occasions to the liberator Simón Bolívar. This is the site where peasants on market day bought their merchandise, candles, sugar, mogolas, shoes, sacks, ties, and took a few snacks such as totumadas or chichas or guarapo before herding their pack of mules and heading to the different towns. The square of Pilita de la Unión is located in one of the traditional sectors of the municipality and houses the fountain of the same name, which is one of the monuments with the greatest historical tradition for many years and which was part of the old aqueduct. The stone fountain was raised to celebrate peace among Colombians at the end of the 19th century. It functioned in part as a source of drinking water for the Sogamoseños and for the beasts of burden. It was the place of watering and rest while their owners went to the market. Built as one of the most significant landmarks of the town of Sogamoso, the Chapel of Santa Barbara is located on the hill of the same name. Built around 1873, the church is consecrated to Saint Nicodema called Barbera, a martyr ambushed against the storm. Inside it houses the remains of the Lasprilla Salazar family that stood out from their innumerable works of charity. Taking the path to the left of the chapel, you will find a small camino that leads to Mocha. the pilgrimage site of the Virgen de la Eau, and to the place known as the Grotto of la Virgen. The route has exceptional landscape values in coal mines in Cercales, where brick is made by hand and where the visitor can observe its difficult elaboration, an activity that for a long time has been the work of Sogamoseños. I've made a separate video of this trek that will be coming out on the channel in the near future. Cerro de Arena, Arena Mountain, located to the southeast of the city, has a steep panorama with great mysteries for being the most outstanding point of the Urraca Valley. At its top, it has a large cross that at Easter time makes it the perfect pilgrimage, and every weekend it becomes the challenge for athletes who want to get to the top faster than the previous time. Construction of the Chapel of Christ began in 1869 and is blessed in 1872 and is dedicated to the Lord of Jesus Christ only. The chapel is located 1 block from the main square. Its stone and brick facade shows the construction technique it was used at the time. This is the heart of the city. Here is located the San Martin Cathedral and the Monument to the Sun. It was the place chosen by the Spaniards as the main square to control the crossroads owned by the indigenous people for commercial exchange with nearby towns. Later it became the marketplace, the main fair, and the trade square of the town. Until in 1942, the market was moved to Plaza 6 de Septiembre to give order to the more central site of the city. On the south side of the main square of Sogamoso, today the town square, a large house with flown balconies, an arched and carved stone was built in 1758. That was called the Palace of the Magistrate, initiative of Don Alfonso Romero, who held the position of corregidor in Sogamoso. The construction has been very important because, in addition to the offices of the city chief, this building has also been home to the municipal jail, police offices, and even a kind of bullring where the first bullfighting festivals in the Spanish style were held in colonial times. Also in this house, in 1875, the first telegraph office was inaugurated. In 1930, the house or palace was the object of a remodeling and served as the seat of the municipal council until later in 1955 it underwent restoration and expansion, and the courts were installed here. Today, a public library operates here. Made up of 4 female figures that each symbolize the origin of the Colombian race, represented by 4 immigrants from the Bering Strait, Oceania, as well as Vikings and Spaniards to Colombia, and a monolith at the top of the 8 meters high is the sun in the center. The base is a stylized rhombus characteristic of Muisca art on a water fountain. It was inaugurated on September 4th of 1937, commemorating the 4th centenary of the arrival of the Spanish to the Sogamoso Valley. It is located on the current Plaza de la Villa, exactly in the place where the first church of Sogamoso was built in 1564. Due to seismic factors, in 1836, the church was rebuilt, and then between 1917 and 1928, the new temple was built. In 1972, on July 16th, it was erected as a cathedral. The cathedral is in Republican style. On its front, there is a statue of San Martin and a bell dating from 1897, with a dedication to the Blessed Sacrament of San Martin. In its tower is the clock donated by Mr. Silvestre Arenas, a famous person from Sogamoso. Inside, there is a large stained glass window of Jesus on the cross, the painting of Saint Martin de Tours, a painting of the Virgin of Eau de Mocha and the Holy Trinity, a painting of the Virgin of Guadalupe, and a painting of the Sagrada Familia, as well as beautiful stained glass windows placed in the year of 1999. In 1850, this was a circular cemetery. All that remains now is the portal built in brick. The old cemetery was built on land donated by Dr. Bernardino Guevara Diaz. The cemetery was surrounded by iron bars that in the 1860s were torn off to become war material in the civil conflict that faced the revolutionary troops and the government. Around the year 1955, when the development of the city made it necessary to build roads and places of recreation, the cemetery was moved to another place, and the roundabout was reconstructed in accordance with the design of the engineer Julio Ernesto Plazas and the historical assistance of Gabriel Camargo Perez. Among the aspects taken into account are the construction of the roundabout and the replica of the Tota Lagoon, from which the name Laguito was derived. The park also holds the monument to the heroes of the Ramada, which we talked about earlier in the video. One of the most significant events in the history of Sogamoso was the arrival of the first train from the Colombian capital on August 19, 1931. Historians say that this event moved not only the Sogamoseños, but all the inhabitants of their surroundings. The first train station operated for almost 13 years in the place where Plaza 6 de Septiembre is today. In December 1942, the construction of the Nordeste railway station in Sogamoso began, and it was put into operation in March of 1944. It is one of the most important stations, and it has 5 lanes. The reason being that the cattle that came from the plains, cement, and other raw materials were shipped here. It was remodeled by Finoco in 2006. On September 6, 1810, the Supreme Board of Santa Fe rewards the services of the populations that from the first moment joined the patriotism and the ideals of freedom initiated by Sogamoseño Juan Lorenzo Alcantuz and another group of citizens who helped the revolution. Then they are given the title of Villa Republicana and the right to use the coat of arms. But it was in 1953, on September 6th, that the military mayor Alfonso Ochoa, through Decree 18, officially adopts the coat of arms and declares September 6th as a civic day. In the Plaza 6 de Septiembre, or the 6th of September, is the building of the municipal mayor's office. Next to the building, there is a stone sculpture of the coat of arms. And next to this square, we have De la Once Street. From the Plaza de la Villa to Plaza 6 de Septiembre, the street has large palm trees around it. The road is made of cement and brick, and it is considered that the entire city center revolves around this section. I've made another video about the cost of things in Sogamoso that takes place on this street. You can find that video in the playlist that is linked in the description below this video, which also contains other videos of Sogamoso. Also, there's no short amount of small, pretty towns to check out, after which you can hike up the nearby mountain. The town right here is Nobza, which is only about 10 kilometers away from Sogamoso. One of the dozen or so towns that that are worth checking out around here. The Colombian department of Boyaca, which is a beautiful department, maybe is lesser known than some other parts of Colombia, but that has a ton of things to see and do, including small, beautifully preserved colonial towns, as well as amazing scenery and great hikes. And if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and or leave a comment letting me know what you thought about the video. Like I mentioned, there are a lot more videos of Boyaca that I've made that you can find in the description below this video. There's also a link to another playlist of the time that I bicycled through Colombia, which is part of a larger trip bicycling through Latin America. I've also bicycled through Eastern Africa and Central and Eastern Europe, and I have playlists for all those countries that I've bicycled through available on this very same YouTube channel, Hum of the Earth. Alternatively, if you'd like to see an interactive map of everywhere that I went and everything that I got to see and do, I have that map available over on my website, followthehumoftheearth.com. Where you can click on the different locations and see the various blog posts and videos that I've made of those places. And if you'd like to follow my continuing adventures through Colombia and beyond, you can do so by clicking on the red subscribe button and clicking on the bell to be notified when new videos come out. Alright, so that's going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed.